जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जना वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपी जना वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना जमुना तीरावनचारे यमुना तीरावनचारे जय जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय प्रभुपादा 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 जय प्रभुपादा। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सदस्य श्रीमद्वैत चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सदस्य श्रीमद् भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की जय। मायपुर नवदीप धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। जमुना माई की जय। नर्मदा माई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी की जय। समवेता गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सकलं रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् शरणिताश्च विशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति विकास स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती गौरवाणी। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं मंगलं गायति गिरिं यत्कृपातमं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदेवतारणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्री चैतन्येश्वर। So Hare Krishna, welcome devotees to the fourth session of the online reading of Patropadesa Volume 2. Hare Krishna. So today I would like to request devotees to read because some throat problem. So I can request Bhakta Vivek to read. I might read at the end. So
3rd September 2012. Thank you for preaching report. I am surprised how you are able to perform so many reasonable services and also do so much preaching. Srila Prabhupada and Krishna are empowering you. You are most fortunate to have retained the spirit of preaching, despite so many difficulties that both yourself and the whole P Yatra have been through. 6th September 2012. The devotee who has offered this service to you should know that deity worship should be maintained at the level of cleanliness, punctuality, number of offerings, etc., as in the temple standards given by Srila Prabhupada. I doubt that he himself is doing so or is able to do so. I am very reluctant to authorize my disciples to conduct deity worship at a standard lower than that given by Srila Prabhupada, even though such lower standards are nowadays considered the norm in much of the ISKCON world.
Hare Krishna. One second. A small note about here that devotees, those who have the book, may kindly read this topic on deity worship and initiation from the index. So in the index there is a topic called deity worship and initiation. So this is very very important. Maharaj, every time and now, again and again, many times he brings the point. Devotees ask the points relating to deity worship. So again and again he answers them. So in the Patropadesa, many places these things are being dealt. So we request devotees to please read the topic on deity worship and initiation, the standard and the strictness which Maharaj wants in the service of Srila Prabhupada. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
7th September 2012. You are a touchstone. Congratulations on the preaching developments in D. It increasingly seems that Krishna has agrarian plans for you, and I look forward to being with you sometime in the future in some muddy fields, maybe in S or maybe in C, or 9 September 2012. I thought about this some more. Actually, it is inappropriate that a woman, especially an unmarried woman, preach regularly to and guide men. Considering this, it would be better if you do not attempt to lead a Bhakti Vriksha. 11th September 2012. Thank you for sending these quotes, which form a tasteful appetizer for your upcoming course on Sri Upadeshamrita. You have selected quotes that tie together well the beginning and the ultimate stages of bhakti, the spectrum of which is concisely covered in Sri Upadeshamrita. I suggest that in your course you follow Srila Prabhupada's general example of indicating the topmost, but concentrating on our present need for primary purification, as for instance in the following quotation. Gopis, they are not conditioned souls, they are liberated spirits. So, first of all, you have to come out from this conditioned life. Then the question of serving Gopi will come. Don't be at present moment very eager to serve Gopi. Just try to get out of your conditional life. Then time will come when you will be able to serve Gopi. In this conditional stage, we cannot serve anything. Krishna is performing it, everything, but Krishna gives us opportunities to accept service in this Archa Marga. Just like we keep the deity of Krishna, offer prasada under regulation, under principle. So we have to make advance in this way. This chanting, hearing, and worshipping in the temple, arati, offering prasada. In this way, as we make advance, then automatically Krishna will reveal to you, and you will understand your position, how you have to. Gopi means who are always constantly engaged in the service of the Lord. So that eternal relationship will be revealed. So we have to wait for that. Immediately we cannot imitate serving gopis. That's a good idea that you shall serve Gopi, but it will take time, not immediately. Immediately, we have to follow the rules and regulations and routine work. Lecture Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 2, 8th Sloka to 12th Sloka, Los Angeles, November 27th, 1968. 11th September 2012. Please continue with your book distribution service, and please be assured that I appreciate all your efforts. Within this material world, there are certain important social considerations concerning the interaction of men and women, which, if not carefully observed, can cause much disturbance. 23rd September 2012. You have been serving Srila Prabhupada's mission very sincerely for many years. Now that you are clearly in the final phase of this life, please increase your chanting and prepare yourself for the final journey back home, back to Godhead. Please also try as far as possible to encourage your daughters to take up Krishna consciousness more seriously. 23rd September 2012. From what I can surmise, the objections against him are not so much because of the punching incident, but because of his outspokenness on the internet. I have advised him to try to be more discreet in his manner of presentation. Like many devotees, he is intense and hence might be difficult for some people to adjust to, but he is fully dedicated to Srila Prabhupada's mission, especially to book distribution and to bringing in and looking after new men, which is neglected by many temples because it is not at all an easy service. ISKCON being what is today, you have taken a bold move in attempting to revive the old spirit. As you are already experiencing, opposition can only be expected. You can expect more blame for taking in our Prabhu. But if you can live that but if you can live with that, you might find his input to be very valuable. We discussed his banning posting. It was a learning experience for us both. Presumably after he reaches B, you will thoroughly discuss with him expectations, parameters, etc. 17th October 2012. I understand that you are undergoing much difficulty, but I am not sure how to expect me to help you. I could ask M and S to be more supportive of you, but it seems that you yourself acknowledge that they are not intrinsically opposed to you. On the whole, I think it best that you directly approach them and try to work things out with them. I am sorry if I appear to be unhelpful, but generally issues such as these are too complex to even properly comprehend via email, what to speak of sorting them out. 17th October 2012. Thank you for your kind appreciation. I certainly never think of you as being anything other than a down to earth preacher out on the streets and even in remote villages in P. However, the whole ethos in ISKCON today has become rather docile, and we could all probably improve ourselves by studying Srila Prabhupada's books more and committing to speak as Srila Prabhupada spoke. If this book helps to even partially affect such a change in ISKCON, I will consider the effort in compiling it to be successful. 17th October 2012. Thank you, R.
Har-
Mataji, for
Hare
your
Krishna. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
There is a asterisk mark you can see on the top. If this book helps to even partially affect such a change in ISKCON, I will consider the effort in compiling it to be successful. There is an asterisk mark.
Yeah,
Asterisk mark is this refers to on speaking strongly in Srila Prabhupada's
Prabhupada
service.
service. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Continue.
17th October 2012. Thank you, R. Mataji, for your kind appreciation. You are very fortunate to have married into a family of dedicated and pure-hearted Vaishnavas. Simply by serving them and following their example, you can also become a great devotee of Lord Krishna. 19th October 2012. Thank you to you and your team for arranging good programs in P and for your overall sustained efforts in preaching there. I am not at all disturbed by your having shared the speaking time at T College. In fact, for this evening's youth program at V, I have asked R. Prabhu to make the main presentation, as the subject is the film Oh My God, about which he knows much more than I. On arrival in G, I told D. Prabhu that I had spoken with you and that I was largely satisfied by our discussion. However, he reminded me of some other questionable philosophical points concerning yourself that I had forgotten about. So it seems that all issues are not yet resolved. I have requested D. Prabhu to write to you about this, and I request you to spend a few days with me while I am in G, so that we can discuss these points in more detail. You may also bring any other devotees with you if you wish. Please be assured that there is nothing like a vendetta against you, but that because you are an inspired and dynamic preaching leader and my disciple, it is my duty to assure that your preaching is exactly to the point for the benefit of yourself and others. 19th October 2012. Thank you for your kind appreciation and for your dedication to distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. Even in ABC, I was informed of that. I will be happy to accept you. 1 minute. Hey, Arvakundi.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Sorry, Babu.
Yeah.
I will.
మీరు మ్యూట్లో పెట్టి మాట్లాడాలి.
అది మ్యూట్ స్లోగా అయింది ప్రభు.
Okay, you should mute and then you should speak, not that you unmute little bit out. Otherwise everybody is hearing.
Yes. I will be happy to accept you as a disciple. I had discussed about you with A. Prabhu, and my conclusion was that it is probably best if you could remarry, according to the Shastric direction that women should not remain independent but should always be protected. I am well aware that in modern Vaishnava society, there is some propaganda that female devotees can remain unmarried, but I am not in favor of this, as it is against the tenor of Srila Prabhupada's general teachings on this subject. 21st October 2012. I can appreciate why you might feel frustrated and disillusioned, although I think that you can understand that such things in relation to your guru can only be disastrous for your spiritual advancement. I do not know what has been communicated to you. I relayed to A. Prabhu some concerns about yourself, including some observations by a mutual god brother of yours, such as that it might not be best for yourself or for the institution that you immediately be given charge of a new center after your not having been engaged in full-time service for many years. Please do not think that you are rejected. As far as I know, no one has suggested that you should not join full-time. Obviously, the terms and conditions of your doing so would have to be worked out. Both you and the institution have certain requirements, and although we want to help you, there are also other criteria that have to be considered. 21st October 2012. I do not know how these doubts were presented to ex-Prabhu about his suitability for taking charge of a new center, but now he feels fully frustrated and disillusioned, specifically with myself, who he somehow considers to be deliberately thwarting him. Surely he could have been communicated with in a better manner. What is to be done now? I suggest that either A or N Prabhu speak to him. He should understand that his perspective on giving him a large salary does not take into account several important considerations from the perspective of the ISKCON institution. We should apologize for having prematurely offered him to take charge of a new center and also point out that nothing had been finalized. You might suggest that he initially spend a few months performing full-time service, after which he could be considered for taking charge of a new center. A possibility is that first he serves at XYZ.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you
Thank
very
you very
much.
much. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Shamakunda Prabhuji. I hope today we will hear your nectarian voice. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Are you there, Shyamkund Prabhu? Hearing me? I don't know. अरे यार श्यामकुंड प्रभु he's there. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. I don't know, you have a very weak internet connection, I think. Oh, Hare Krishna. Sorry, I'm not able to connect. I'll try giving afterwards, maybe. Okay, Shubhankarji, you can read. Shyamkund Prabhu, maybe you can switch on your phone. In phone, you can follow very nicely.
22nd October 2012. After considering the contents of your letter, I agree that it is best that you enter the Grihastha ashram and continue your practice of Krishna consciousness with the help and cooperation of a devotee wife. The lady who you wish to marry sounds like a very good match for you, and I will look forward to seeing you both happily situated and preaching in India. 22nd October 2012. It is certainly a noble idea to improve congregational preaching in C. Doing so will require much focus, planning, and energy. You will have to decide how much effort you can invest in it, considering that you are still new there and are developing the Brahmachari ashram and book distribution. You are welcome to select some of my writings for inclusion in your magazine and encourage local devotees to write and to thus develop their talents in this important line of preaching. Of course, all writing should strictly follow the parampara. 22nd October 2012. I am very sorry to learn that the situation in B shows little sign of vastly improving soon. All glories to S. Prabhu for sticking with this very difficult task. But the situation is at least gradually improving, suggests that it will continue to do so, and thus you may consider patiently helping to make things better. At least there is a will to improve, a spirit of idealism that is hard to find elsewhere. 23rd October 2012. If you can successfully induce Africans to live simply on the land and to chant Hare Krishna, that will be a model that can be that can be reproduced throughout the continent and can relieve Africans from the terrible exploitation and misguidance they have been subject to from outsiders for the last few centuries. My congratulations to N. Prabhu. I can understand that it is no small sacrifice for him to be with you in an environment so different to that of India. 23rd October 2012. I am not much upset with T and M. I am sure that they did what they thought was best. Although, obviously, I disagree with him. It is not the first time that I have been banned, and probably it will not be the last. 24th October 2012. Regarding the envious person, I suggest that you ask a neutral person, whom both you and your adversary can accept, to act as an intermediary. Keep cool headed and depend on Krishna. Take all precautions if there is a serious threat to your life. 26th October 2012. Should we advise her to marry or not? In some ways, it would seem best that she not marry. But for personal spiritual guidance, she would then look to you or me, and it is not very healthy that either of us get much involved with unmarried women. 30th October 2012. There are certain social considerations that Krishna has given us via Shastra just to help us live in this world in the best possible way to facilitate our spiritual advancement. And thus, the principle of women requiring protection is as valid today as it also was. But it is not always clear how to apply that in our today's confused world, in which women are used to independence. But it is clearly better that a sannyasi counsel husbands and through them their wives, rather than trying to personally advise single women. Certainly, it is better that you be married, to be matched with a suitable husband, one whom you can submit to, who will be there to guide you in the inevitable daily struggles of trying to be Krishna conscious in an unkind world. 31st October 2012. Although it is theoretically better that you be married, it probably will not be easy to find a suitable husband and one that you can submit to. But if you do not marry, who will be there to guide you throughout life in the daily struggles that inevitably you will face, trying to be Krishna conscious in an unkind world? So there are pros and cons as to your remarrying. You may pursue this option if Krishna arranges for you a potentially good match. Otherwise, you will have to continue as in your present situation. 9th November 2012. I am sorry for all this. I repeatedly requested that you all try to sort this out without involving me. But as that request was not acceded to, I was obliged to get involved, with unfortunate results. What else can I say? Please go on chanting Hare Krishna and reading Srila Prabhupada's books. I pray that Krishna bestow His full mercy on you. 20th November 2012. I am sorry to hear of your husband's condition. I suggest that under the circumstances he needs psychiatric treatment. Please consult a psychiatrist as to how to deal with this condition. Of course, you should also encourage him to continue chanting Hare Krishna and to engage in other activities of Krishna consciousness. 20th November 2012. It is not advisable to be initiated by a person who you do not fully trust to properly guide you. Please consider carefully before making any decision. It is also proper to consult your husband about all such matters. 22nd November 2012. Krishna is certainly testing you, but I am sure that you will come
Hare
through
Krishna.
this.
21st November 2012. I spoke to your wife for some minutes.
21st November 2012. I spoke to your wife for some minutes, but then the line cut and I couldn't get it back. Anyway, she is a great devotee who has literally served Krishna in hell, and I am sure She will eventually come back to active service with redoubled enthusiasm. 22nd November 2012. Krishna is certainly testing you, but I am sure that you will come through this difficult period in the same way that you crossed over hard times in the past. You, you may recommend to the girls you were preaching to, and to other devotees also, to read glimpses of traditional Indian life. That will help to inculcate appreciation of the culture that Srila Prabhupada wanted us to adopt. 22nd November 2012. It is, it is shastrically incorrect and actually an offense to reject a guru unless he is seriously fallen or is not a Vaishnava. Do you think that you or I should write to ex Prabhu about this? I know him very little. 22nd November 2012. It is a wise decision to not initiate yet. Let your material and mental situations first become more settled. 24th November 2012. I very much appreciate your strong desire for Krishna consciousness and your genuine appreciation of Srila Prabhupada and your wanting to follow his divine example. Very soon your life will change drastically upon the birth of your child. From then on, both your husband and yourself will have to spend much of your time looking after your child. You will not have much time for sadhana, especially when the child is very young. I do not think it is a good idea for you to go to Mayapur. You should be with your husband, but you should discuss with your husband about the spiritual needs of you both. Although there is much service required for preaching, we also have to see that devotees are themselves tasting the happiness of Krishna consciousness. If we simply go on pushing for service to the point that devotees feel stale, then there will come a point where they simply cannot continue and the whole program collapses. As long as we are in this world, there will be various unavoidable tests and difficulties that we cannot avoid. But we have to act in a sober, realistic manner so that we can continue to make steady progress in Krishna consciousness. I would be very happy if you set a good example of a faithful, submissive wife in Krishna consciousness, and if you train your children to be pure devotees of Krishna. Please make this the focus of your life service. Please consider all these points and decide in consultation with your husband about what to do. 29th November 2012. I have discussed it with M. Prabhu and we're trying to arrange something for yourself and others who do not get to see me much. Unfortunately, it is inevitable that as the number of my disciples increases, the time that I can spend for most of them decreases. Anyway, let's see what can be done. 29 November 2012. Thank you both very much for investing so much time and energy to reply to me. As a guru, I am expected to advise on all kinds of things, but of course, my areas of expertise are very limited, and thus I appreciate getting such feedback when I seek advice. Notwithstanding our disagreements about education, we strongly agree that modern education is a disaster for which an alternative is required. I am not against the idea of education as you envisage it, but there are various considerations, such as the lack of qualified teachers who know the Vedas and Siddhanta. Maybe our Prabhu could do it, but he would first have to study the Vedas. 30th November 2012. My experience in my youth is going to difficult places with little association is that, even though it was a constant struggle and remaining Krishna conscious was not easy, I have received a lot of mercy, grew as a person, and had the satisfaction of pioneering Srila Prabhupada's mission in places where it had not previously been established. So my advice is to remain there, at least for now. It is unlikely that you would have the opportunity to perform a comparably important service in India. It is not surprising that you are beset with sensual desires, because that is the condition of all of us in this material world. And Maya especially attacks those who try to escape her clutches. Be sure to take out sufficient time every day for reading Srila Prabhupada's books. That will help you to keep strong. West is a long way from trying to introduce this culture, and remarriage is common. I am not going to try to force you to do something that you do not understand and that is not the cultural norm that you are used to. So if you feel that this marriage will help you and your children, then I do not object and I wish you all the best. This marriage should be for companionship and mutual assistance in Krishna consciousness. As both of you are senior in age, and especially as you are living in the Dhamma, there should be no intimacy. I know of a similar case in which the desire for intimacy on the part of only one of the partners soon led to a messy divorce. So please discuss this with your proposed husband and be clear about this before proceeding. As a sannyasi, I should not discuss these matters, but as your guru, I am obliged to advise you for your benefit, especially in the absence of any good system within our society to counsel devotees on these topics. Another Russian disciple of mine, who wishes to marry, informed me that there is a strict and lengthy system instituted within ISKCON in Russia for devotees who wish to marry. The system is intended to curb the high incidence of divorce among devotees. Are you considered still within the purview of ISKCON Russia and thus obliged to follow this procedure? I feel that it would be advisable that you do so. 4th December 2012. That Srila Prabhupada did not write such a book does not mean that no one should write such a book. Krishna is unlimited and should be glorified in unlimited ways. Of course, such glorification should be according to Siddhanta. 6th December 2012. This is unfortunate news, but we will have to accept whatever happens as a manifestation of the inscrutable mercy of Krishna. Tattenukampam. Please arrange through Ji Mataji to have special prayers and worship offered to Nrsimhadeva at ISKCON Mayapur for the well-being of the child. And pray. Why not? You can ask others to pray also. And again, ultimately we have to accept Krishna's mercy, however it comes. 8th December 2002. It seems that several devotees are very upset over chanting Ramo, but I have never been able to distinguish any great difference between the chanting of Ramo and Rama. Maybe it is because I spent many years in Bengal, and in Bengali the pronunciation of Rama is something like Ramo. Whatever exactly is worn in the spiritual world, I don't know. But I like to dress the way that Srila Prabhupada liked his disciples to dress. I'm sure that
I'm sorry.
style is at least much closer to Vaikuntha style than is Western dress. However, as you know, many devotees, or whatever you want to call them, are attached to doing things according to their own taste, and the situation is not helped by the plethora of opinions propagated on the internet, nor by various leaders in ISKCON who have discovered many wonderful ideas after the departure of Srila Prabhupada. I suggest that you not be too disturbed by, nor spend much time on, trying to convince people who do not want to listen to you. 9th December 2002. By coincidence, the arrangement of Paramatma, who knows everyone's heart, you had in mind some appreciation of my service just when I felt moved to appreciate your service. Although We don't directly know each other yet. Srila Prabhupada has eternally linked us in service to his lotus feet. তাদেরও চরণে সেবী ভক্ত সন্নিবাস জনমে জনমে মোর এই অভিলাষ. I eagerly await your personal glorification of Srila Prabhupada. Ebe Josh Ghushuk Tribhavana. May there be unlimited books to proclaim his unlimited glories. 11th December 2012. I am, of course, dismayed to learn of this, and I await further correspondence from you about this. I apologize for all and any offenses caused to you, past and present, by any of my disciples, and I pray that there will be no more offenses in the future. 13th December 2012. Very good news that you are engaged in distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. Please concentrate on this. Probably better that you do not think of getting married. Considering your age and situation, you will have to be very focused in Krishna consciousness. And always remember that you are not the body. Reinforcing the understanding will be easier if you make a point to explain it to the others. 14th December 2012. Thank you for keeping in contact with P. Prabhu. That I have not given him Brahminical initiation does not mean that I consider him deficient in devotional service. He is very sincerely trying to serve the mission of Srila Prabhupada to the best of his ability, and I consider him to be far better than many of the devotees who, almost as a formality, have been initiated as Brahmanas in ISKCON. My understanding is that Srila Prabhupada wanted to create a class of Brahmanas who actually live as Brahmanas, and who, by doing so, could set an example to the whole human society. As such, indiscriminately giving the Brahminical initiation to devotees who are not engaged as Brahmanas militates against Srila Prabhupada's vision of introducing Varnashrama Dharma. Of course, my going against the flow in this regard is not going to change the flow, but I do not wish to compromise principles just because everyone else does so. The very fact that he is being criticized for not being Brahminically initiated demonstrates the Shudra mentality of those who consider Brahminical initiation to be
To be a
some symbol,
status symbol.
to be a status symbol. You may explain these points to his congregational group next time you have a phone or Skype meeting with them. I suggest that you contact them soon. You may also explain to them that
See,
seniority
yeah.
is not always a measure of how well a devotee is situated in Krishna consciousness. In the long term, if devotees are going to survive and become strong amid the fractious atmosphere there, then they are going to have to understand very well the philosophy of Krishna consciousness and its practical application. They will have to go beyond sentimentalism and learn to recognize, on the basis of Shastric teachings, what and who is correct and what and who is incorrect. So, try to encourage the devotees there to come to a higher understanding rather than going down to the level of the cheap, unethical critics. They might have to learn to live with losing some of those that they preach to, but those who stay will become strong. When I was in C, my god brother S. Prabhu told me that X. Prabhu was a very bad character. Among other things, he has divorced and remarried several times. Probably those who are being allured by him and other potential victims should be informed about this. 18th December 2012. There are many important topics that I have to write on, but doing so in a fully researched and authorized manner takes much time. So please be patient, and if Krishna so desires, then gradually I will be able to publish more books.
Okay, bro. Thank you very much. I'll request some
Thank
other
you, Prabhu.
devotee. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Ramakunda Prabhu, at least now you are not there. Okay, Srinivas ji, you can read.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Am I audible, Prabhu? Hello. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
18th December 2012. Everyone's perceptions are subjective and thus genuinely objective history is elusive. There are those who will tend to agree with ex Prabhu's perspective and there are those who will disagree. Ex Prabhu paints TKG as a villain and many will agree. But then many also see him as a strong devotional personality with some undesirable traits also. Who accept Krishna will give a verdict. Everyone is free to write history or comment on it as has ex Prabhu. I, for one, am not inclined to accept the version that TKG was overall a villain, and thus I am not inclined to accept in toto ex Prabhu's assessment, although much of what he says might be correct. If you wish to write ISKCON history, then you will have to start working intensely. It is a massive job. Get out and interview Bhavananda, Hamsaduta, Satswarupa et al. See how much their versions tally and how much they diverge. You will definitely learn a lot and your perceptions might undergo some change. If you really want to do it and if Krishna wants it, then surely it will come to fruition, but not without much hard work and struggle. 18th December 2012. I remember the day TKG passed away in Mayapur. In his eulogy, Ravindra Swarupa Prabhu said that because TKG was a perfectionist, he drove everyone nuts and himself also. Both you and I, being idealists, can never be satisfied. It seems that you have a version of Daksha's curse following you so that you can never stay long in one place. Or maybe in this case, the devotees will be bold enough to make the major changes required for you to stay. Whatever happens, please keep me informed of the ongoing twists and turns in your eventual life. 20th December 2012. I suggest that you tell El Prabhu that if he feels that the temple situation is improving and that he would like that it continue to do so, then he should rise above his conditioning and intervene in this matter. It is simply irresponsibility or hippie mentality to let people rot in their anarthas because you do not want the inconvenience of disturbing them. 21st December 2012. I suggest that you do as much kirtana as possible, both in the temple and on Harinam outside. Throw,
Uh,
throw yourself into it and dance and chant with full vigor. That will be most purifying and uplifting. Cheto Darpana Marjanam, 21st December 2012. For now, you should concentrate on Seva Rasa, not Sakhya
Sakhyarasa.
Rasa.
Sakhyarasa.
Sakhya Rasa. First, become qualified as a servant, and from that, everything else will come. 24 December 2012. You are right in that I almost regretted finishing the compiling of Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Vaibhava, but I more greatly regret that I probably won't be able to finish all the books that I would like to compose within this lifetime. I have seen the words of nonsense and rascal used in the secular media in a manner similar to Srila Prabhupada's, which suggests that the influence of the mass distribution of Srila Prabhupada's books is having an impact in many ways that we might not be aware of. 26th December 2012. I am very sorry to learn of the tribulation that you are going through and the effect that it is having on you. Practically every day, I have to hear about serious marital and other problems. Somehow
Marital.
or other,
Marital.
marital and other problems. Somehow or other, disciples and others turn to sannyasis and gurus to relate their tales of woe. But of course, there is no magic wand to cure the troubles that we inevitably meet on our path through this world of sorrow. The only solution is Krishna Bhakti, but that we take to Bhakti does not guarantee a mitigation of difficult circumstances. Rather, remembering the examples of Prahlada, the Pandavas, and other great devotees, we should see such difficult situations as Krishna's test of our fidelity in his service. In this life, you have been awarded above average intelligence, and I trust that you will use this gift of Krishna's to philosophically deliberate on the unexpected ways in which his mercy sometimes manifests. This phase will pass and new difficulties will arise. That is the nature of life in this world. Please stick close to Srila Prabhupada's instructions to gain ultimate relief from this nasty place. Chanting Hare Krishna brings us to Krishna. There is nothing better than this. But Maya will always try in various ways to divert us. Please remain strong on the path. 27 December 2012. It's fascinating to learn about the problems in other places that seem to have no connection with the problems in one's own backyard. I take the local problems that we face here so seriously, but they wouldn't mean anything to others elsewhere, who could hardly
Oh,
even.
Krishna. Just one second. Because in the guise of taking the pages, I just click means it goes somewhere else. So, which date are you reading?
27 December 2012, Prabhu.
Yes. Okay. You can continue.
Yes, Prabhu, backyard. I take the local problems that we face here so seriously, but they wouldn't mean anything to others elsewhere, who could hardly even comprehend them. Maya is fascinating. 28th December 2012. Please forgive me for the impet- impertinence of the following. I should not advise you, but I will do so. Realistically speaking, most of your life's work of research and meditation on fulfilling the orders that Srila Prabhupada gave you will likely not get transmitted to your target audience. It is practically a miracle that your body is still functioning as well as it is. It could collapse at any time. Considering this, you making video presentations is a priority, a must. There must be some way to overcome stage fright. Probably something on the internet could give some directions about this. My formula is simply to pray to Srila Prabhupada and Krishna to make me forget my silly self and to do whatever it is necessary for their service. Of course, there is no substitute for producing well researched and systematically presented books. But I fear that time is working against the production of the many books that you plan, and thus that video presentations are the best alternative. 28th December 2012. I am very sorry to learn that you are suffering from stress. This service is not urgent and it could be done at your own pace. Anyway, you may now absorb yourself in the nectar of the holy names and resume this service upon your return. 29 December 2012. There is no question of rejecting you when you are in trouble and seeking help. However, it might be difficult to help you as your discrimination is now severely clouded. Your preference is to return to F, and I have no objection to that. K. Prabhu is my old friend, even if at the present we are ideologically apart, and I am sure that he will do his best to help you. However, I suggest that as B. Prabhu is calling you to make a detour via Boston, that you accept his offer. Quite likely, when the rage of your material desires have somewhat died down and you will be able to coolly consider your life options, you might decide to return to A. Prabhu's form in K. In the long term, it will probably be the best place for you. Anyway, wherever you go and whatever you do, please keep on chanting Hare Krishna and sticking close to Srila Prabhupada. Everything else is a detail. 29 December 2012. Maybe there is nothing to lure, but it is hard to see what can be gained by going ballistic, considering that knee jerk reactions are often later regretted and that we're all in this together. I request that you take a little time to consider this coolly. 29 December 2012. You might wish to contact Tejias Prabhu, who I have added as a receiver here and who presently resides at New Talawan. He is an agrarian geek, a lifelong farmer come techie who received many instructions from Srila Prabhupada regarding rural uplift. He has complemented that with a vast study of rural communities, farming methods, etc. He is now old and sick, but in good cheer and very much in need of help to transmit to the world all that he has imbibed. I know that you are simply looking for somewhere to peacefully settle, but this could be an opportunity for you to get into something revolutionary that could help literally millions of others to peacefully settle on the land.
Okay, Broji.
2013. Hare Krishna.
Sorry, 2000. Yeah, you can read this. It's all just 9 o'clock. You can read.
Okay. Hare Krishna. 1st January 2013. G. Prabhu told me that you were writing a book about why demigods should not be worshipped. I asked him why so, seeing as he himself had already compiled such a book. G. Prabhu replied that you had some points that had not been included in his book, to which my response was that it would be better that you inform him of those points rather than composing a new book. Actually, all the main points that we learned from Srila Prabhupada about this topic have been included in that book, and it is quite sufficient to rebut common misconceptions regarding demigod worship. Considering the tremendous effort required to write and publish a book, it is best that you invest your energy in some other literary project. 3rd January
Okay.
2030. Hare Krishna.
You can read.
3rd January 2030. Thank you for your prompt response, even though you must be even more busy than usual with the upcoming temple opening. I also appreciate that you have replied in a respectful tone despite my strong words to you. Congratulations on resisting the introduction of midday meals. You must have come under much pressure to do so. It is also gratifying to learn that you are not aware of the contents of the site in which your name is listed first among the team behind it. We have to be careful what our name gets associated with. You might also have noted that in the invitation brochure for the opening, the mayor of P is quoted as praising the midday meals program. I respectfully suggest that, notwithstanding your exceptional emphasis on training and education of devotees, there appears to be a major lacking inasmuch as devotees who were considered sufficiently mature and responsible to write for a website ended up so badly misrepresenting the mission of Srila Prabhupada.
Okay, Broji.
Hare
We'll stop here.
Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay, devotees. We'll stop here unless and until devotees have some questions to ask. We will stop here. Is there any question to be asked or something need to be clarified? Else we will stop here. No. I hope everybody is following these topics very carefully, clearly. And we have so I have given the link for the book by which you can order this book. So devotees, please do order. Already 2 devotees have ordered. One Jagannath Chandra Prabhu and Mrigakshi Mataji, they ordered 20 books, and Patitaran Prabhu, Jagannath Prabhu from Malaysia, he ordered 15 books, Patropadesa Volume 1 and Volume 2. So devotees, please be inspired, and you also could order some books for your distribution to other Maharaj disciples. No problem. We should not think they are other Maharaj disciples, we are this Maharaj, nothing like that. So these instructions are for everybody. These are coming from Prabhupada. So these are Prabhupada's instructions coming through Parampara with more realized knowledge. It's like a pujari. One pujari comes and decorates Krishna, and then another pujari comes and decorates Krishna more. So Krishna becomes more and more beautiful. It is like that. So Prabhupada's instructions are there, and then with Maharaj realizations, they become more clear. So this is a very nice example to meditate. So we request devotees to please order these books. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhibhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Tante nidhaya tanakam patayor napatya krutva ca kakuchitam etat aham brevimiye sadhavas sakalam vivayatvaya chaitanya chandra charane kirtan ravat. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, devotees, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.